Here we go. Oh, hi. You've already started it. Amazing.
All right.
Okay, well, I'm going to go ahead and admit a couple more people here, and then let's go ahead and get started right now. That is fine. All right. Okay. Thank you, everyone, for joining us for tonight's lecture. My name is Katie Zimmerman. I'm joining you from Lake Johnson Park, and I will be your host for the evening. As a friendly reminder, this lecture will be recorded. If you do not wish to appear on the recording, please turn off your camera. To reduce feedback, everyone was muted as you arrived. If you have questions during the presentation, please utilize the chat feature and I will read them out. There is going to be natural pauses in the lecture today. And so those will be the moments where if you put a question in the chat, I'll read it out at that time. You'll also be welcome to unmute yourself and ask those questions then too. But also bear in mind that there will be a Q&A at the end of with me today, I have Bethany and Susanna, and they're going to tell you guys a little bit more about themselves. So over to you.
Thank you, Katie. Yeah, thank you so much for having us. Thank you for everyone for joining the environmental lecture series, and to the Crowder Center and Katie for hosting. As as you see, I'm Bethany Cutts. I am associate professor in Parks, Recreation, and Tourism Management at NC State University. And as an environmental social scientist, I've used mapping in more than 50 peer-reviewed publications to study how people understand and care for local waterways, parks, and other places across the United States.
And hey, I'm Susanna Klingenberg, and I'm a children's book author and a hyperlocal journalist. So I write for Walter and Triangle Family and other local publications. So in other words, I'm a storyteller and like a civics geek. And together we are the team that's writing an early chapter book called The Adventure Atlas. And we thought that y'all would be our perfect first co-conspirators for this, for the book's development, because a lot of you are environmental educators, I know. And so you have insight into third graders, and our main character is a third grader. We're looking forward to hearing from you about that. And I bet that if you're here, you love parks, and our book sort of hinges on a decision around park planning. And so we look forward to hearing from you about that as well. And we're interested in how those decisions about parks can be made democratically. And when we say democratically, we mean like with lots of voices involved. And so we'll get to that later. But I want to go ahead and dive in to what to expect this evening. So tonight, here's sort of the rhythm of things. We're going to give you the book pitch. So we'll tell you what we'll tell like agents and hopefully one day readers. And then we're going to do some background information with Bethany. She's going to tell you about the inspiration for this book. Then we're going to do an interactive part. So we're going to slowly build a map, piece by piece, you guys are, as we're reading. So if you don't have paper and something to draw with, go ahead and grab that. And then last, we'll have some Q&A and we'll share out the maps that you have created. But first, let's give you like a bit of what is happening. Let's give you the pitch for the book. And you can kind of imagine that I'm saying this, you know, the guy who does scary film like trailers? You can imagine
In a world.
In a world. Yeah. So you can kind of imagine that that's what's happening here. Okay, here's our book pitch for the Adventure Atlas. And remember, this is an early chapter book. So it's for like first, second, third graders. All right. A shy cartographer, a magical map, a plan that leaves something out. Can Zara and three unlikely classmates save their beloved Con Creek before it's transformed into an exclusive adventure park? Dun, dun, dun. But before we get too deep into the story, we want you to know how we came to this story and what real events in Raleigh inspired it. So over to Bethany for that.
Thanks. So I teach a class called Park and Planning and Facilities Development in the program at NC State. And in 2025, I assigned my students to watch a city council meeting to understand a little more about how decisions get made about what goes in parks and where what trade-offs they manage. And something about that January 2025 meeting really caught my attention. The city staff person emphasized to the council before they even started that this was not a whitewater park. So that statement about the Neuse River Park in North Raleigh sent me on a quest together with Susanna to figure out like why did they need to say that? What kind of backstory was leading up to that statement? And that led me to a lot of the good work the Parks Department does in preparing for any park planning process. Part of that was a 966-page situation assessment where they take a good look at the history of the site from all particular angles in order to find out what's possible ecologically, what's possible culturally, and what sorts of uses and opportunities exist for both nature and people. And going through that book and seeing all the maps that they had, for this 84-acre site located at roughly 12098 Old Falls of the Neuse Road, adjacent to the Neuse Greenway and the Falls River Dam Blueway access point, we saw, lots of new funding, about $11 million through the 2022 Parks Bond going to this site, and looking into opportunities for kayaking, fishing, swimming, and wading. Some of the best urban water recreational opportunities you can imagine. But this new plan, the plan they're working on now, comes with a rich history over the last 40 years. As early as 1996, they established that the Neuse River Plan would be a conservation first plan. So anything they did would prioritize maintaining or amplifying the natural resources of our urban ecology. By 2011, there was a Falls Whitewater Park feasibility study where a group of kayakers and paddlers were really interested in turning this part of the river into something like the Charlotte Whitewater Center that would focus primarily on whitewater rafting and kayaking. That plan never really got off the ground, mostly because of difficulties maintaining the hydrologic flow they would need in order for kayaking to happen all the time, especially with the Army Corps of Engineers managing the dam just upstream. In 2017, downstream of the site, the Milburnie Dam was removed and given a critical habitat designation. So that really was the suspension of this full-on whitewater plan. By 2022, the public funds needed to put a project in place to really make this site an active place for community building was in place. The efforts to design and find a community action board and figure out what perspectives needed to be on it, the treasure trove for character writing, and a real opportunity to see the breadth of interest across the Raleigh community. So all that led to that 2025 moment where the city staff was emphasizing this is not a whitewater park, emphasizing that although there had been a lot of public attention on that idea, it had been shelved and was off the table and not in line with what the community was interested in or what was in line with the vision of human nature connection for the site. And this process and the ongoing approach that City of Raleigh Parks Planning and other municipal and county governments take, there's a lot of opportunity to draw from and draw in the knowledge that you all as environmental educators have to offer. So one of our goals for this book is to take this inspiring case and imagine some magical elements to it. Imagine uh, if the people advocating for the Whitewater Park were local celebrities and a little more evil than they were in real life. Imagine that it wasn't the City of Raleigh Parks planning, but some kids on a magical adventure that were discovering all of these different perspectives that could be part of a community advisory council. And imagining all the ways beyond voting that people can use their knowledge of the everyday environment and the people in our urban places to protect what matters now and to envision a future that's richer for everyone and leaves no one behind. So environmental educators, you're really positioned well to participate throughout that process, or as knowledge sources. In this particular case, citizen science and a bio blitz were important precursors to some of the biodiversity work they did as part the official assessment. Environmental educators are also place-based facilitators, helping people experience and understand a site before they decide what should happen for its future, showing them what's special, even in landscapes they've seen but never really looked at. You have critical insights as participation designers, thinking about ways for youth, families, schools, and less heard but important to hear from communities to contribute. Thinking, for example, in this case, about how to reach people who find it really important to fish downstream of the dam itself. And stewardship bridges. Once a park is built, that's not the end of the story. How it's used, programmed, and appreciated really plays an important role in its long-term interpretation and integration into how the community views itself, and how they express their trust in democracy and opportunities to interact with one another. So, with this in mind, we're pandering to you a little bit to let you know we think you really have the opportunity as environmental educators, especially when you're thinking about our everyday environments, suburban and urban, to be a consistent force for the public and nature as these decisions get negotiated and as people build skills to be able to represent their interests in this process.
Okay, so we've heard a bit about the grown-up inspiration for our story. And now I want us to sort of switch to the kid element. You can see it, that's me and Bethany up there on the slide. When we were in third grade, second grade?
I think I was in third grade.
Third grade, okay. And and so to sort of get you guys in the mode of your third grade selves, I want you to gather on the rug for story time, crisscross applesauce, and put yourself in the third grade mindset. And if your third grade experience was not a place you want to go back to, maybe imagine a different third grade experience that you wish that you had had. And I want us to share out for just a second. What are some things that your third grade self would have thought was an adventure? And while y'all are thinking, Bethany, you want to start us off?
My third grade self thought it was an adventure to go out the back door of the babysitter's house and through the tall reeds into the trees where she couldn't see us, or we thought she couldn't see us, to imagine we were independent spirits out in the wilderness.
Nice.
So now we're gonna just ask you to take yourself off mute, kind of round robin style. Leah, we see your screen first, so we'll ask you to start if you don't mind.
You can also feel free that if you don't want to say to answer out loud, go and just drop it in the chat.
Perfect.
Yeah.
That would be fine as well.
I would think like an adventure would be like fun and something exciting to do, like travel or like a trip.
Yeah. Anybody else? They're collecting raspberries in the neighborhood, says Andy. Nice.
Sure, my
You
third
really
grade.
feel like you're a rebel because you can eat them too. Sorry, Constance.
Oh no, you're fine. My third grade self would have was enjoying my time at my grandmother's house, who lived next to an abandoned lot where people threw all types of things inside of there. And we'd use car cables on the trees as swings and old different scrap metals to build imaginary things that myself and my cousins, of course, imaginary things that we can actually put a show together and create different things and charge people in the neighborhood to come and see. So
That is fantastic.
Oh my gosh, I might steal
I'm
that
still
for a
the
kid's book.
person.
That was great.
Yeah,
Anybody
I'm
else?
trying not to just remind everybody what that tells me. Climbing a tree, love it.
Yep. Nice. Mine was I moved to a new town as a third grader, just like our main character, and our attic in the old house that we moved into was filled with the stuff of the person who lived before us. And so kind of like you, Constance, I just loved like combing through it and seeing what I could do with it and making up stories about.
Sounds like fun. We would have been friends.
Yeah.
We would have made up so many crazy stories. Okay, well, let's dive into the story. So, y'all are the first public audience ever to hear this. And this is going to be like an interactive story time. So, here's how it's going to work. If you don't have paper, go grab some and something to write with. And on the paper that you have, we're going to be building a really simple map. Does not have to be fancy. Here, I'll show you. Like, here's mine, and here's Bethany's. Like, we don't need any artistic ability. You just need your third grade self and some imagination. And we'll put up a prompt that's going to spark your imagination for each little part of the map. And then we'll read a bit of our story. And then we'll doodle again, and we'll do that rhythm 2 times. And then at the end, we'll share out our maps. And we can't wait to hear what you make. So let's get y'all situated in this story, the Adventure Atlas. We're like dropping you into chapter 4. So not quite at the very beginning. So I want to catch you up first on what's going on in this story. Here's how the Adventure Atlas begins. So Zara is new to Raleigh, and she's about to start 3rd grade at Conn Elementary School. And she's lived all over the world, so she's very worldly for a 3rd grader. But everywhere she goes, she feels a little lost. And so she finds her way by making maps, and she always starts by adding the water, because you don't even have to be able to read to know where the water is. She always starts with the water. So she's really excited when she gets to Raleigh, and this local newscaster mentions that there's going to be a river adventure park coming to Raleigh, because she's always attracted to water. And so it's like, that sounds up my alley, she's excited. But also, Raleigh has got Zara all turned upside down because she can't seem to make friends, which she really wants to do. And her map that she made to help her understand Raleigh keeps messing up and misfiring. And she tries to use it to get home from school one day, and she gets lost. So she's feeling pretty down about that. So she heads to the library to try to fix her map. And she meets this really friendly librarian named Librarian Weaver, who you'll meet in a minute. But instead of just helping Zara with her map, she recruits 3 of Zara's classmates who are also at the library. And Zara's not sure what she thinks about them. And then this newscaster that was telling her about the adventure park shows up to do a broadcast at the library. And that is where we're dropping you into this story. Okay, have y'all all transported yourself to your 3rd grade selves? On the rug, here we go. Oh yeah, I forgot about the draw.
So to put yourself in that 3rd grade space, the beginning of the Adventure Atlas, now is the time to start your draw along.
Yeah.
So imagine you're back in 3rd grade, or you're thinking through the eyes of a 3rd grader you know now, and draw a map. Again, a simple one. Just has to have your school, your house or home, a library, and some kind of water.
And it could even be like a water fountain. It doesn't have to, or a bird bath. It doesn't have to be a big body of water. So take about a minute to doodle that on your map. And when time's up, we'll begin reading the story. It's okay to just sit that. Oh, that's with the text. Yeah, have it. 10 seconds left. And y'all, if you don't finish, you can keep doodling while we are reading. That's okay. All right. All right, feel free to keep drawing. I'm going to drop you into chapter 4. Here we go. Librarian Weaver went to check out a library patron, and Zara, Harper, Sophia, and Daria all looked at each other, Zara's homemade map on the table between them. Zara felt a little self-conscious. Did they think her map making was weird? But before she could think too much about it, a woman strutted into the library with click-clack high heels and a tiny fluffy dog riding in her handbag. A man hustled behind her with a giant camera shouting, "And we're live in 3, 2, 1." Zara lit up. She remembered this lady. It was Margaret Elston, the newscaster who was starting the River Adventure Park in Raleigh. Margaret plunked her designer bag and the tiny dog onto the girl's table right on top of Zara's map. Sticking out of the top, next to the tiny dog, that is, was a red folder labeled Elston River Adventure Park, promotional materials and site plans. Just when Zara was thinking about it, a crisp, polished voice grabbed her attention. "Citizens," Margaret announced, looking right into the camera. "As you surely know, Raleigh will soon be home to the dazzling adventure park, the most dazzling one in the Southeast. Think slides, ziplining, glow-in-the-dark paddleboards, an underwater selfie tunnel. The citizens of Raleigh asked, and I'm honored to answer." The library had gone silent. People looked so confused. "Hey, when do we get to weigh in on this adventure park?" somebody called from the adult section. Margaret pretended not to hear and looked back at the camera. "This river park will put Raleigh on the map," she said, "transforming an unused stretch of the Neuse River into a destination for visitors far and wide. Tune in to local station KRAL at 6 o'clock for more information as we connect the people of Raleigh to a healthy landscape and to the world." "And that's a wrap," called the man with the camera. Margaret dropped the red folder of promotional materials on Librarian Weaver's desk, turned heel, and click-clacked her way out of the library without a second look. "Well, that was dramatic," said Sophia. "So," Daria asked, "she's making a river adventure park on the Neuse River? Where's that?" "Is that the water by our school?" asked Zara, thinking, hey, I could add it to my map. "That water by our school," Sophia shot back, "is Con Creek. It always has been. It's been that way since my grandmother taught there in 1900. Zara decided this was her chance. She could learn more about Raleigh, get to know these new girls, and find out about the adventure park all at one time. So she screwed up her courage and asked the question to the group. Guys, should we go to that water and investigate?"
Dun, dun,
Dun,
dun.
dun. Yeah.
So this is your chance to jump into the adventure. Wherever you are in your map, think about how you can also think about these different kinds of water they've been discussing. Add some kind of natural place. The one you think of as purely organic and untouched, wild and scenic, a creek, a lake, a riverbed. Then think of a second watery place you can add, something constructed that you think of as totally human built for human purposes. A water element like a canal or a pool, a bird bath. I guess that's for bird uses, but a water fountain.
Human
or
enjoyment.
yeah. or anything of that kind. And next, and most interesting, we think of a hybrid place, a watery place that blends both worlds, that's somehow both constructed and natural. Something like a dammed lake or a reconstructed wetland or a channelized stream. Something that has natural value but has been reimagined through interactions with humans time and time again.
Like storm runoff that's also a dog bath. Okay. All right, we'll give you a minute, and then we'll read you the next part of the story.
what if there isn't room in my map anymore already for to add one of these features?
Well, just like the girls, you got to tape another page on.
That's what I do. That's true. Or flip it over. You can have a two-sided map if you want.
All right.
Got about 20 seconds left. Great.
All right, you can keep doodling as we continue to read. When they arrived at the bank of the water, whatever it was called, Sophia threw her backpack down by a nearby tree. Zara and Daria dropped theirs too, and Harper cracked her knuckles. All right then, she said, but how are we supposed to figure out if this here's Con Creek or the Noose River? What would Blackbeard do? Sophia crossed her arms. Harper, you know this isn't Blackbeard's river, she snapped. Actually, it's not a river at all. This is Emma Con's creek. Just look. She pointed to two deep initials carved in the bark of the tree. EC. That's my grandmother, Emma Con. Like Con Elementary, get it? Continued Sophia. Before there was a school, Grandma used to bring kids down here to the creek to learn. They'd sit here right under this tree. Okay, said Sora slowly. Now I get why you're so sure it's called Con Creek. Sophia crossed her arms. Because it is? No, I mean, Zara said, her nodding her head to the tree. Your grandmother taught kids here. It's part of your family history. Sophia's expression softened a little. Also, Margaret Elston said the river park was going on some unused stretch of the Neuse River, a place no one really goes, Zara explained. And look, there's kayakers and kids playing and stuff. It's not forgotten, so this can't be the Neuse River. It's got to be concrete. Harper picked up a smooth, flat stone. If it's forgotten, someone forgot to tell these landlubbers. She moved to join a group of kids skipping rocks. Zara rolled her eyes. So if Margaret's telling the truth, the Neuse River can't be the same place as Con Creek, but what about the label in the library atlas? Maps don't lie, right? Nobody answered. For the first time, the argument wasn't just about what to call the water besides their school. It was about what might happen to it.
Again, dun dun dun.
Before we share out, we have one more mapping thing to do. Something called toponyms, or places that have more than one name. So wherever you can think of a place that has two names, an official map name, a feature or landmark that you can find on Google Earth or old maps, and then a local nickname, a place people in your the name people in your community refer to the same place, um, to know what you're talking about. So, like where I grew up, there's a pond, a swimming pond called Kennedy's Pond if you're from the area, but on the map it's called Mill Pond. I don't know who Kennedy is.
Kennedy. Interesting.
Yeah.
We have one in our neighborhood that is called Watonga Street, but we call it the Big Hill. And all the kids know. So we'll give you a little longer on this one because it requires some brain work. And then we'll tell you how our story ends and how it sets up the sequel, and then we'll share our maps. All right, guys, that was it. Feel free to keep doodling while I'm walking you through how the story ends, because we don't want to leave you hanging since we dropped you in the middle of the story. And really, we dropped you in the spot where they are like just beginning the juiciest part of their adventure. So here's what happens. So Zara and her friends, and they do eventually become friends through this book, are trying to figure out where Margaret Elston, the newscaster, plans to build this adventure park and whether her adventure park is going to threaten the body of water, the creek or the river that runs right past their school. And as they are investigating this, they discover something weird. They realize that her map is full of gaps and forgotten information, and that the stuff on Margaret's map doesn't really line up with any place they can find in reality. And so they make up their own map, and they each kind of add what they know. And that map takes them where they did not expect to go, which is on a magical and dangerous version of the river, Con Creek or the Neuse River. And they have to navigate together. They have to work together to find their way home. And so when they do find their way home and return to the real world, they realize that the things that saved them on their magical canoe ride are what Margaret's plans are actually missing. So things like differing perspectives, problem solving together, deep local knowledge, things like that. And they also realize, with the help of Librarian Weaver, that Margaret Elson has just totally sidestepped the official planning process, like the public engagement part. And so now Zara and her friends are kind of, they want to make sure that the people who care about their river with them get a chance to actually speak up about this. And they're kind of positioned best in the whole community to lead the charge to get input about this park. And so a bunch of third graders are lined up to sort of be the heroes of this book. And that's the end of book one. And we hope it will be a series. But now we want to hear about your maps. What did you map? Here are our questions. The next one. Here are questions. We want to know what you mapped and just what your third grade world was like. And we want to know how we can make Zara and her friends' experience in Raleigh more Raleigh-like, but also more magical. And then finally, if you know anybody that we should talk to about how to understand Raleigh and its waterways better, tell us. So we are going to turn over now to you and have a share out. And if you'd share your map, remember the stakes are low artistically. If you'd share your map, we would love to see it. Yeah, a reminder that the stakes are low.
I have more of my map on my forearm than on the paper.
I see this.
This is Elaine,
Well,
and I'm willing to show you what I drew, but I don't know if I got enough light here for you to see it. Let me just.
While Elaine is figuring that out, if you want to show us yours, just go ahead and raise your hand. There's a little reaction feature at the bottom, so just raise your hand, and then Bethany and Susanna will know to call on you next. But Elaine, the floor is yours.
Okay. All right. I don't know if you can see that. Well, it's kind of a square. This is actually where I lived when I was in third grade. I lived in a house up here. There's a schoolhouse and a Audrey. Okay. It has everything in it that you asked to put in there, but you may just have to believe me. Okay. There was a horse field here. I added a pond. There's a couple of roads.
Oh,
this is where
okay.
I went to school. I could walk to school. Creek over here. There you go.
nice. Nice, Elaine.
I added a bird bath there at the school. Yeah. Thanks for entertaining.
What was your place with a local name and an official name?
Well, that's where I live right now here in Outer Banks, North Carolina. I know that there is a, there you go, forget it. Okay, so behind the aquarium where I am and do my environmental educator thing, there's a place that the locals call the Old Fishing Hole. And it is just the shoreline of the Albemarle Sound that's immediately behind North Carolina Aquarium on Roanoke Island. So, but nobody else would know that unless you lived here for a while, that that's the old fishing hole.
Very cool.
Lucky you that you live on the Outer Banks.
Yeah, well, yep. It's got a lot of good things about it. Of course, we're the first ones to get hit when the hurricane comes through, but yeah.
Yeah.
I like your idea about trying to get kids interested in, well, being aware, but actually getting interested and then being involved in planning a public area, because I mean, kids are some of the ones that would be most likely to use it if it was usable for them.
Yeah.
Then I saw Constance and Andy had hands up, and Shauna's camera and Matt was up and then down.
Did you see whose was up first? Okay. Constance, you want to go next with your shot?
Sure. Okay, so it was really hard following the information because I was really focused on drawing. But the radio station is in there. I have a little under construction little area because the area is really natural. But pointing in that adventure park area, it's good. It's would be on a different page because definitely I was running out of space. There's a road that when I first moved here, it was called High Point Road is now Gate City Boulevard, which is like a main street. And I never called it by the new name because I remember the old name and everyone knows that. So there's a swimming pool because, of course, kids would love to swim. And I like to swim. And of course, trees, the library. I like the library myself because I thought it looked like a book. I don't know why I thought that was cute. And then the school is there, and I kind of made it like circular because I felt like my brain was running in a circle trying to figure out where to put everything. So, but it was really, really fun. I like this activity, and it's something that I think my students can get involved in. So, thank you.
Oh, hey.
Awesome.
See Andy's hand.
Go for it, Andy.
That was a really good map, Constance. You had colors and everything. This is mine. It might be a little bit hard to see, but I've got the school and a pool and library over here, and then house with some critters. And then I drew a waterfall for my body of water and natural place. And we've got the mountains, trees. We have a culvert feeding in, stormwater. So yeah, this was a fun activity. I really love the idea of it. Kind of reminds me of like magic treehouse books a little bit, where they're like studying something. Usually they would do something from history and then, transport to the pyramids or whatever. So it's really cool to do that, but with kind of like civic and engagement almost, and environmental ed. So yeah, I really liked it. And I wanted to ask if concrete is a real place, or is it meant to sound kind of like concrete? Like was
That's
yeah.
nice. Taking notes over here. It is a real
Yeah.
place.
Okay.
It's not called concrete, actually. I don't actually know what it's called.
Oh, we should find
We
out.
should find that out. But it really is a creek by a school called Con Elementary.
Okay, gotcha.
But hey, we are going to work that pun into the book somehow.
Yeah. Yeah, great. Awesome.
Thank you, Andy. Shauna, did you want to go?
Okay, I can share. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. I just drew with pen. So, on the north side is like the Pecatonica River for our Pecatonica town. There's an old broken down dam from the mill, and then there's a backwater that was just like a swamp when I was a kid, but now it's a wetland part of the state park. So,
Oh,
um,
very
I
cool.
I also put on here, there's our school, and across the street from the school is the school playground. So, like during the day, they gate off that block. But in the spring and winter, we use the it's on a big hill. So we use snow to make all these snow dams and like control the water flow down the hill during recess.
That's
So this is
dreamy.
my house, and then we walk over to school, and then the library's down here. And then this little crosshatch thing is an old rails to trails called Prairie Path. So that was an important thing that I wanted to add into the map. I don't know. It's very reality based. So
Yeah,
Oh, it's great.
that's a cool. Where are you from, Shauna? If you don't mind.
Northern
Sharing.
People
Illinois.
are colder. Illinois. Okay.
The snow tipped me off that it wasn't near here.
Mhm. Was there anybody else who wanted to share their map?
I can share mine, but my cat wants to share too.
Your map
I
was
heart.
scary.
There you go. So I didn't get everything in. I wound up having to step out with the baby for a minute, as these things happen. But I did get some of the early features. Let's see if I can. Oh no. Okay, hold on. I've got the blur feature on, so someone else can go while I figure out how to fix that, and if I can. Here we go.
Anybody else who wanted to go?
There, I got it.
Okay, there we go.
See? It's just dark. It's very light.
Yeah.
Here you go. Okay, yeah, there you go. So you can see here's my house. These are a
Okay.
couple of big rocks that were right next to my house and some big tulip poplars. And I love hanging out on these rocks and like reading my book or like drawing on them with chalk. And then I was actually very lucky to have a creek in my backyard. So I used to go out to that creek, and that was kind of a combination natural and human impact because it was like a runoff creek, but there was enough, like there was tadpoles and frogs and turtles back there that you could find every now and then. And then there's my street, and my school was actually at the top of my street here. So I was actually able to walk to school. Here's our little pool, our community pool. And we used to go there. We lived at the pool in the summer. I was a water bug for sure. And I used to go to the library all the time, but I have no idea where my library was in third grade. I just knew we got in the car and we went to the library. I think there was like two different ones we used to go to most frequently. But yeah, my third grade brain, it was just far enough away that I was like, you get in the car and that's where you go. But I spent a lot of time at the library.
Nice.
And that's all I had on my map.
Thank you.
Awesome. Well, these maps really help us illustrate a lot of the points we're hoping to make in the book, that people think about and navigate space in really different and creative ways. And that the technical maps tell one part of the story, but it's the richer layers and putting them together that really matter.
And that a kid's imagination can put another layer on
Yeah.
there too.
So we're at about 15 minutes left. We want to give you time to ask us any questions about the book or about park planning or how to get involved, that kind of thing that might have come up for you, or share your knowledge from your experiences doing that stuff.
I also want to point out both Susan, here we go. Susan shared in the chat about her map. She said she drew her childhood house with a neighborhood pool and a creek behind her neighbor's house across the street. She invented a wetland.
Mhm.
There was also a patch of woods at the end of the street that they were allowed to play in. The library was way downtown, as there were few neighborhood libraries, but we did go there almost every day. Thank you for sharing that, Susan.
Thank you, Susan. Sounds dreamy. If y'all can think of anybody that we should talk to, local or otherwise, since some of y'all are not in Raleigh, about our book, we would love to know. We're always looking to pick brains about things like that.
I do have a question. Are y'all self-publishing it, or like how are you and where can
So
people find it?
we are hoping to publish it traditionally, and so we'll be pitching it to agents soon. And then once we have an agent, they pitch it to publishers. And then ours will be lightly illustrated, probably, and so they will then connect to an illustrator, and then it will be published. Which
So we're still in
sounds
the very early
short,
stages.
but we are still in the very early stages, where people can still weigh in. So thank you for that.
Well, I wish you well. It sounds like a great idea.
Thank you.
Anything else that would get, more people at a younger age involved in environmental conservation and and away from the video games and back out in nature.
Yeah, that's our hope too. There's also been some research, actually, I think done at NC State, where Bethany teaches, that when kids talk to their parents about the environment, parents are more open to changing their mind about things, and so hoping to empower kids to do that with their parents and other grown-ups in their lives.
Are y'all planning on including like a school guide in the back of the book?
Yeah, probably it won't be in the back of the book, although it could be. But it's usually on a website or something that you can buy additionally. But yeah, well, Bethany's a teacher. I used to teach as well for many years, and so we're excited to write lesson plans and project ideas and that kind of thing. Yeah, yeah, and if you have ideas for that too, bring them on. We would love to hear
Or
them.
even just like a thing for like how you as a third grader can get involved, like specific like resources and ways that they can do that, as well as like guiding questions for the
Yeah,
third grade book club.
yeah, that would be awesome. All right, we're gonna pull up our last slide here.
Yeah.
Any other questions? We got some people sharing things in the chat. They're not questions,
good.
but they are good insights. So Susan was actually on a Parks Advisory Board in Cary, so she got to go to neighborhood meetings about a small neighborhood park on some good land. Lots of fun hearing the neighbors' preferences about facilities in the park. Shauna was on the committee for developing a small neighborhood park in Holly. It was an interesting process, but some people really don't want to compromise, and the process is long.
Yeah.
Andy wants to know if the book will include illustrations.
Yes. Yeah. It'll be lightly illustrated, so not like a picture book, but like usually a black and white illustration on every page. Shauna, real quick, I recently wrote a story about Lada Park in Raleigh, and it was that the one? And no, it was, and I learned a lot about how that works. And it was interesting interviewing people because some people wouldn't talk to me because it was so contentious. I had no idea. And so it was a little peak. You're right. People don't want to compromise. And I get it. There's memories there, all kinds of environmental things and historical things to consider. It's so complicated and so interesting and stuff that I think kids would find interesting too.
Yeah, that's a tough part to work on for sure.
It was fascinating. I learned so much about. I didn't know about Cameron Park or the what was it called? Oh, it was a Freedmen's Village in Raleigh. Really interesting. Oberlin Village. Thank you. Yep.
Yeah. Have you seen the book? There's a woman in Raleigh who's she wrote a book documenting all the freed villages, and she'll occasionally lead history trolley tours
Interesting.
in Raleigh through the park system. Yeah, so if you see her in Leisure Ledger or whatever, I highly recommend.
That sounds awesome. Yeah.
I've got another question here, and then after that, we'll do our wrap up and finish the recording. So I see you guys answered in the chat. Chloe asked if you were finding ways to portray and connect the magic to the local critters and plants around the creek, and y'all answered yes. Daria turns into a fish. That's super fun. All right, guys. Well, thank you, Bethany and Susanna, for this awesome presentation, for sharing your book with us. I think everyone had a really good time with the book. Leah is throwing an extra question real quick. She's asking, what and who made you interested in doing?
What and who made us interested in doing our jobs? We have pretty different jobs, so I'll let Bethany answer that first. What made you want to be a professor?
Oh, I didn't know what else to do. So my degree is in life sciences or biology, mostly around water conservation in the desert. But I came to NC State and the Department of Parks, Recreation, Tourism Management because there was a strong connective thread of thinking about civics and civic connections to the environment and people. And so that's what kind of keeps me motivated and moving. I think thinking about parks, tourism, even sport management, through the ideas of what is the environmental impact, what are the opportunities to get people who would otherwise be separate together, what are the opportunities to raise awareness about the negatives or the downsides of some of these actions, is where I find a lot of common ground with my peers.
And I used to be a professor as well. I taught writing at NC State, and when I left and became a freelancer, I got to kind of like walk the talk a little bit since I was teaching writing. And then I had kids and got really into children's books and knew that I wanted to do that. And so I've been slowly over the years learning how to do it and being part of critique groups and going to conferences and that sort of thing. So uh, I'm still at the beginning stages of it, and I'm excited that we have this outlet for it.
Great. Thank you both.
Great.
All
Guys,
right. So
let's see
once
your
again,
last slide. Let's see. I want to make sure you guys know how to follow up with us. So let's
yes,
see. Did you figure out how to? Here we go.
here we
Yeah.
go.
You'll see that? Okay.
Yeah, so our last slide, we wanted to leave on a high note and just invite you, if you're interested in following our journey and use our Instagram user, you can find us as at Adventure Atlas Kids, where we more or less post real-time updates on our project progress and the stories of our local environment that inspire us. And then if you need some civic action to just be the dessert to your Adventure Atlas environmental lecture series meal, we included a couple of links. One is to just follow and figure out what your opinion is and how to voice it on the changes in state funding for EE coordination through a statewide office in North Carolina. We're not advocating a position, but we know that's an issue near and dear to the people of this community. And then also to just take a quick look if you're either work or live in the Raleigh area at the community engagement portal page. They almost always have at least one survey for community input up. Right now, there's a survey on safety in the downtown area. It takes a minute to register for an account to get started, and then you can just go to town and do as many community surveys as you want. So it's the lowest and easiest hanging fruit while you have your computer booted up today. But again,
Awesome.
just thanks for making the time for this. It's really been a special evening to hear from you all and to think about their great experiences far and wide.
Yeah. Thanks for bringing all your creativity tonight, y'all.
Okay. Thank you. Bye. Good night.
Good night.
All right. All right. Thanks everyone for joining us tonight. Thank you again to Bethany and Susanna for sharing this with us. I am also going to put I will be sending out an email later this week. If you need EE credit and want to keep filling out those forms and holding on to them until we can submit them somewhere again, I'll also be making this recording available on our Environmental Lecture Series YouTube playlist, and I'll send you the link as well to that as well in the email, in addition to Bethany and Susanna's emails, so you're able to contact them directly with any follow-up that you have. I hope to see y'all at our next lecture. I will have, let's see, it is September. I gotta get the paper away from my cat. I know. Stephen Furstein will be joining us, and he'll be talking about invasive removal, specifically on invasive plant species and their destructive impact, and how we can make an enormous difference healing our native ecosystems. That'll be September 14th at 7 p.m. I hope you guys will join us then. And we have a whole bunch of different programs if you are local to Lake Johnson. If you go to rec.raleighnc.gov, you can find our whole slate of programs. You can get out paddling, you can go on guided hikes. We have a sunset paddle coming up at the end of the month, and an owl program for our youths, ages 7 to 13, I think, as well as a nocturnal program for families. So we hope to see you guys out here and enjoy the rest of your day. Thanks again, Bethany and Susanna. Y'all have a great night.
Have a good one.
Thank you.
Thank
Good
you.
night.
Night, everybody.
Good night. Thanks again for coming.